The story begins at an airport where we see a pilot named Brad. He is quickly walking toward the aircraft while talking to his daughter on a video call. His daughter says that she saw the news this morning, where it was said that the weather in the area he is going to is extremely bad. Because of this, many other flights have been canceled. So she tells him to cancel his flight and come back home. But Brad smiles and replies that he has safely flown aircraft many times, even in such weather, so she shouldn't worry. He promises that he will return home soon. Hearing this, his daughter becomes happy and ends the call. After that, Brad reaches the aircraft cabin and meets the co-pilot. The co-pilot was a bit nervous because he was going to fly a plane for the first time today. Suddenly, an air hostess comes and calls Brad outside, where a police officer tells Brad that due to an emergency, he has to transport a criminal named Tony with them. Tony is extremely powerful and dangerous, charged with murder. And now he has to be taken to another country by plane, where he will be sentenced to life imprisonment. The police officer says they are giving this responsibility to Brad because he is a capable and sensible pilot. Brad agrees and seats Tony in the last row so that the other passengers don't face any problems. After that, all passengers take their seats, and Brad checks with his staff that everyone has boarded. The plane then takes off. After reaching altitude, Brad switches the plane to autopilot and starts talking with the co-pilot about his family. He shows his daughter's picture on his phone and says that he loves her a lot and that in this world, they only have each other. Meanwhile, the passengers are enjoying their journey, unaware that something terrible is about to happen. Both pilots were happy and the flight was normal, but suddenly the weather became worse and the aircraft began to shake. Brad became worried, sensing something wrong. He announces for all passengers to fasten their seatbelts and tries to contact the control tower through radio. But due to the bad weather, the radios stop working. Suddenly, a strong bolt of lightning strikes the plane, causing it to shake violently. Brad steps out of the cockpit to check on the passengers. Seeing them safe gives him slight relief, but the lights were slowly going out. The plane is hit again, and Brad's head hits the cabin ceiling, and he falls, injuring his forehead. The passengers begin to panic. Brad rushes back to the cockpit and tries to stabilize the plane with his co-pilot. It was extremely difficult. They couldn't see anything ahead. Brad says they must lower the altitude because one more hit might destroy the aircraft. So they start descending, and the plane rushes downward. Passengers were terrified. Meanwhile, the police officer escorting Tony drops his phone. When he unbuckles his seatbelt to pick it up, an air hostess also unbuckles hers to help him. But because the plane was descending rapidly, both of them are flung upward and hit the ceiling hard, dying instantly. The plane soon reaches a lower altitude, and the pilots somehow managed to control it. But the plane had lost most of its power, so Brad could not reach the airport. He decides to perform a crash landing on the ocean, but then they spot an island. Brad directs the plane toward it and decides to land there. After great difficulty, Brad successfully performs an emergency landing on a road on the island. Luckily, all passengers survive unharmed. Then a short circuit occurs in the back of the plane. Brad becomes relieved because at least some electricity is still left. After all passengers exit, an air hostess informs Brad that the police officer and one air hostess have died. Brad becomes deeply sad. Meanwhile, the airline owner discovers that one of his planes has vanished, since he didn't see it land and hasn't been able to contact the pilot due to radio failure. So he hires a rescue expert named Scarsdale, who specializes in locating missing people. He tells him to find all details about the plane and its passengers. Scarsdale begins his work. Meanwhile, passengers on the island wonder why they had to land there. Brad gathers them and explains the emergency. He says there is still some power left in the plane, and they will fix things soon. Until then, everyone should remain calm. Brad and the co-pilot examine the map to find their location. The co-pilot discovers that they are on a private island, a dangerous place with people who don't follow any government's rules. If those people find them, their lives could be in danger, and even their governments won't be able to save them. Brad says they must somehow contact the rescue team. They try to repair the radio, but it was completely destroyed by lightning. Brad tells the passengers that the radio isn't working, but assures them that he will go to the other side of the island to find another way to contact help. Then Brad makes a bold decision. He takes Tony with him and unlocks his handcuffs. He tells the co-pilot to stay and repair the plane's power while he goes to find help. Brad and Tony walk into the jungle. Tony thanks Brad for trusting him. Now we see that a terrorist group living on this island is informed by a man that a plane has landed here with many passengers from different countries. The leader gives him money and orders his team to get ready. In the jungle, Tony asks Brad why he freed him and where he is taking him. Brad says he doesn't want to risk anyone's life and they must face a dangerous group together. Tony reveals he has a military background and served in the US Army. But suddenly, Tony disappears. He had run away, leaving Brad alone. Brad continues forward alone and finds an abandoned factory with an old telephone. It isn't working, so he repairs the wires and gets it to work. He calls the company helpline and gives his location, but due to poor signal, his voice doesn't reach properly, so they hang up. Brad then calls his daughter and asks her to write everything down and take it to his office. But during the call, someone attacks Brad from behind. Brad fights and knocks the man unconscious. He senses another person entering, but it's Tony. Tony had killed several gang members and taken their weapons. He tells Brad not to worry and hands him a gun for protection. Downstairs, they find a camera with recordings and passports showing that the terrorists kidnap people and demand huge ransom from their families. And even after receiving the money, they kill the victims. Brad realizes their passengers are in danger. They step outside and find a car belonging to the man Brad fought earlier. They get in and drive toward the passengers. Meanwhile, the passengers hear a vehicle approaching and think Brad has returned with a rescue team. But it is the terrorists. They fire bullets to scare the passengers and take control. Brad and Tony hear the gunfire and rush back. The gang leader forces passengers into a bus and sends 2 men into the plane to steal valuables. A woman tries to run, but they shoot and kill her. Brad tries to help, but Tony stops him, saying it's too dangerous. After the gang leaves with the passengers, Brad and Tony catch the 2 men looting the plane. Brad threatens them and learns the passengers have been taken to a camp nearby. Meanwhile, Brad's daughter gives the note to the rescue expert. He uses satellites to locate the plane and discovers the island and that it is controlled by a dangerous terrorist group. After this, the rescue officer calls the captain of his private army and explains the whole situation, asking him to go to the island. The private army's captain agrees and along with his team loads a bag full of money and several bags of weapons into a vehicle and gets ready to leave for the island. On the other side, Brody sees that before the terrorists took everyone away, the co-pilot had repaired the plane's power system. Brody notices that the plane has regained power, which makes him very happy. Now, Brody leaves a message on his uniform for the incoming private army team and heads with Tony toward the place where the gang had taken the passengers. Going through the jungle path, the 2 of them reach the terrorists' hideout. They quietly leave their vehicle and sneak inside the place where those criminals were scaring the passengers and recording videos, so they could send those videos to their families and extort money. Meanwhile, the private team sent by the rescue expert also arrives near the plane. But when they find no one there, the team leader enters the plane to check. Inside, they find the bodies of 2 men, the same 2 whom the gang leader had ordered to steal all the valuables from the plane, but Brody had killed them. The captain of the private team also finds the message Brody had left, which showed the path to the terrorists' hideout. At the hideout, Tony and Brody are quietly observing the terrorists, and as soon as they get a chance, they sneak up from behind and kill 2 of them. Then both of them move ahead and reach a room. Inside this room, all the passengers were being held captive.
Brody wants to free them, but there were too many guards and he didn't have the key to open the door. So the 2 slowly eliminate the guards, one by one. Tony even picks up a hammer and kills several guards with it. Eventually, Brody gets the key from one of the guards and frees the passengers from the room. He tells them to quickly get into the same bus the terrorists had used to bring them here. All the passengers rush into the bus. Then Tony tells Brody that there is only one road to escape by vehicle, but many armed goons are standing there, and if they see them, they'll open fire immediately. Brody looks at the passengers, all visibly terrified. He then decides to risk his life and tells Tony that he will distract all the terrorists while Tony uses the opportunity to escape with the passengers.
Tony initially refuses, saying they will kill Brody, but Brody insists, saying they have no other option. Hearing this, Tony agrees. Brody comes out and approaches the terrorists. He speaks to the gang leader, saying he has already informed for help and the rescue team will arrive soon, so they should let the passengers go. Hearing this, All the gang members laugh and start beating Brody. The gang leader says he won't let them go without money. Just when they are about to kill Brody, the private rescue team arrives and opens fire on the terrorists. After a long gunfight, they kill many of the gang members and free Brody. They carry Brody to the bus and escape. The gang leader sees that many of his men, including his younger brother, have been killed. Enraged, he vows that he will not spare any of them and will hunt them down one by one. He orders his team to prepare quickly. They will set out soon to kill them. Inside the bus, the private team's captain tells everyone that they are just a small 5-man private team who came only to save them, and they are not an official rescue team. The actual rescue team will take more time to arrive. Brody becomes anxious, saying they don't have time. The gang will come after them soon and kill them on sight. But he has an idea. Upon reaching the plane, Brody tells all the passengers that the plane has regained power, meaning it can start and they can leave immediately. So he instructs everyone to quickly board the plane because waiting for the rescue team would be too dangerous.
All the passengers get into the plane while Brody begins checking everything inside. The private team prepares for the incoming threat. Suddenly, the terrorists arrive and attack them. The private team fights back fiercely, and due to their superior weapons, they manage to kill many attackers. Brody tells the team leader that he will start the plane in 5 minutes and that they must board quickly. Then he goes to Tony and thanks him for supporting him during such a difficult time. Brody dodges bullets and enters the plane, gets into the cockpit, and helps the co-pilot start the aircraft. Meanwhile, Tony runs out of bullets when he searches the private team's bag for ammunition. He finds a bag full of money. Ignoring it, he grabs bullets from another bag and continues fighting. By now, Brody turns the plane to the right side. The private soldiers start boarding the plane one by one, and Tony covers them with fire. Since the power is back, the radio starts working too. The plane company's owner tells Brody about a safe location where they can land. Everyone boards the plane, except Tony. He grabs the money bag and runs into the jungle, because he knows that if he returns with them, the police will arrest him again. The gang leader, furious after losing his men, brings out a rocket launcher to blow up the plane. But Tony spots him at the right time, grabs a gun, and shoots him dead, saving everyone. Brody is overjoyed seeing Tony's bravery and manages to finally take off the plane. Tony smiles, happy for the passengers and Brody, and disappears into the forest with the money bag. Brody flies the plane far away from the island. The airline owner guides him toward a nearby airport. As they head there, the engine catches fire again and the plane starts failing. Brody activates the emergency warning and slowly tries to bring the plane down onto the runway. After great difficulty, he successfully lands and saves everyone. Brody and the co-pilot are relieved. The plane company's owner and his team are also extremely happy. Brody checks on the passengers and sees they are safe, which brings him peace. The passengers applaud him and thank him. Soon, the official rescue team also arrives, making everyone even more relieved. Brody sends all passengers with the rescue team and finally sits on the plane's stairs, taking a deep breath and talking to his daughter on the phone. And this is where the story ends. If you enjoyed the video, do subscribe to our channel and like the video.